is Jalen Rose.
What up, Joe?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together, we're Jalen Jacoby on ESPN2. What do?
We get the people what they want.
I hope everyone enjoyed their Thanksgiving weekend, but something happened over the weekend, and we need you to take us behind the curtain. Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks had high expectations for themselves and by others as the season started. They've now lost 3 of 4. Things are getting a little rocky, and it looks like it's getting to their star player, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Here you can see him physically threatening an assistant coach on the sideline. Jalen, take us behind the curtain. We know that there's arguments between coaches and players all the time, but does it ever escalate to this?
You alluded to the frustration that he's dealing with. High expectations of a young team, hoping to go to the next level as he vaults himself from all-star to all-NBA to now MVP candidacy. They're on the road in Utah. He was driving to the basket, felt like he didn't get the call, missed a short shot. He was driving on the right side, got a turnover. Before you know it, in transition, his team gives up an open dunk. So just like any parent that's on their child or their scholar, as we like to call them at JRLA, when you don't take care of your business, your teachers, your parents, your deans, everybody's going to get on you. And I'm sure at that point, he came to the huddle and teammates were barking and mumbling. The coaching staff was barking and mumbling. And then that one annoying voice that he just didn't want to hear at that time, he's like, oh, I'm tired of this. You know what? That's enough. And so really that's what that was, more so than him actually physically wanted to have an altercation with the coach.
Well, of course, he's talked about it, and people have asked him about it, and now he said, oh, it's no big deal. That's what me and Coach Sweeney always do. We're like brothers. We argue. But, Jalen, to say I'll bleep you up seems to be like a level up than what you normally see between brothers that argue a lot. Isn't that true?
This is the exact same reason I stopped cursing, because of what you're doing right now. You put it on the scale and you try to judge the inflection, the body language, the tone.
That's exactly what I do. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Was it multiple words?
Me and you argue all the time. We don't threaten each other. Me and you argue all the time, and we never threaten each other. We never threaten each other. Like I say, I'll bleep you up in the huddle on the sideline of a game. You say, oh, we do that all the time, but this one just happened to be seen on national television.
But me and you don't care enough about our jobs as we should. So therefore, when we disagree, we're not upset. We're not mad. We don't have the stats in our hand talking about these radio shows and podcasts are doing better than ours, because we're doing better than everybody.
I don't know if that's factually true, but I'll take it. So the Bucks are 8-7, and we kind of class them, especially when they picked up Bledsoe, as one of the best 5 teams in the Eastern Conference. Do you think that will stay true throughout the regular season?
They fall into that category. You got to start thinking about my Detroit Pistons, who playing good ball. We already know the Cavs and the Boston Celtics are on a different level, right behind them. The struggling Washington Wizards, who've been an enigma night to night. The Toronto Raptors, who found a way to get going here recently, and the Milwaukee Bucks belong in that conversation, again, along with the Pistons.
Well, you mentioned the Cavs, and the Cleveland Cavaliers have kind of quietly, relatively for them, won 7 straight games in a row heading into their matchup with the Sixers on Monday night. And then Isaiah Thomas tweeted this. Locked in. It's almost watch emoji. So he's saying it's almost time. The Cavs said that he would be back in sometime around January, and they have now changed that to a December return for Isaiah Thomas. If you look at their games in December, there's one game that sticks out above all others, and that is the Christmas matchup with the Warriors. You played in the NBA, Jalen. How many games before the matchup with the Warriors would Isaiah Thomas need to kind of warm up and get in shape?
Well, the reality of it is, it's basically December now, and he's talking about coming back in December. Therefore, he won't be ready the way he would like to be regardless. So it could be that week. It could be 2 weeks prior. You have those boosts of energy where you tend to play well even though you may be sick or you may be a little fatigued. You mentally are able to lock in and take yourself to a place you didn't know that you were going to be able to. But for him to actually be back playing at his full capacity, it's going to take 20 games,
really?
A fourth of the season, for him to be that type of player that was averaging 30 points. And I'm so happy that he's returning, because he, along with Kawhi Leonard, this early in the season, people tend to forget how good they really are at basketball. I'm going to enjoy watching him play with LeBron.
Me too. Well, something else happened with the Cavs over the Thanksgiving weekend, and Derrick Rose has kind of left the team. He's kind of taken a little sabbatical. He's going to evaluate his future, evaluate his professional relationship. He's got some time away from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Jalen, this is kind of odd coming from someone who used to be an MVP, a veteran player. What is Derrick Rose going through?
This isn't odd for me. This actually took place last year, where he took some time away from the team to deal with some personal issues that he had to juggle, that we all need to juggle in our private lives, that as a professional, you hope it doesn't stop you from performing at optimal level at your profession. Last year it did, caused him to miss games, caused him to go AWOL from the team. This year, he's dealing with it as well. Some of it, if not a lot of it, or most of it, has to do with his injury, with this history of being injured so much. When you've got on and off the operating table time and time again, having to rehab, having to trust your body, then all of a sudden going back to square one. That is something I'm really fortunate I didn't have to deal with a lot as a player. And as athletic as he was as a player, exploding, dunking, one hand, two hand, herking, jerking, he's a stick shift out there. So for him not to be able to function and play at that level that he's used to, I'm pretty sure it emotionally wears on him. I think he will find a way back in uniform, hopefully soon.
Well, even if he is contemplating leaving the game for good, there is this. Reportedly, his Adidas deal has an out if he does retire from basketball, so he would potentially leave a reported $80 million on the table. Could you imagine him doing that?
I don't anticipate that anybody would do that. I know I wouldn't. Let me tell you something. I'll be at training camp, walking around barefoot, getting a pedicure during practice, and make the team cut me before I walk away from the game and leave $80 million on the table. Not gonna be able to do it.
I know you would. Coming up next on Jalen and Jacoby, we've got some really interesting information about the Eagles and Carson Wentz. Jalen Rose, still not retired from the NBA. Still not retired. We've talked about this for a couple of years now, and I still don't really have a straight answer as to why you're not retired.
There's no reason for me to be retired.
I don't know if you know this about yourself, but I know this about you. No one will ever pay you money to play basketball ever again.
Never say never.
If you retire, right, you can always unretire.
I don't want to fill out no paperwork.
You know what it is? It's paperwork. You don't like filling out paperwork. That's probably what it is. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, do you remember last time the Broncos and Raiders played? It was last January, and Aqib Talib snatched the chain from Crabtree. Well, they played again.
He wrote next time. Here's the thing. In a professional environment, they both play for rivals, Broncos and Raiders, clearly. This goes beyond the score of the game, or I'm trying to beat you, or even I'm trying to humiliate you. This goes beyond I really can't mess with you. This goes to the I can't stand him type of category. And the idea of snatching someone's chain is not about the necklace, because he clearly knows that he has insurance and can get another one. It's almost the equivalent of smacking someone or spitting in their face, trying to show them ultimate disrespect. And so once that happened the first time and you Michael Crabtree, you gotta find a way to protect yourself from it happening the second time around. There were people that whispered, maybe he missed the last game they played because he didn't want to have to deal with this. But he was back out there on the field. It was 3 plays in. Aqib snatched his jewels, and before you know it, it was an all-out brawl on the football field.
We saw this with Beckham and Norman, and we also see it in this game. Like, at some point, if you're a teammate of theirs, aren't you upset with them for getting kicked out of the game? You say, look, you're taking your own little personal squabble, and you're hurting our team with it. Don't you feel that teammates feel a certain way about this?
What would always fascinate me about fights in any sport, in particular football, is that they're wearing uniforms. So, like, if you're Michael Crabtree, you make money by catching touchdown passes. You happen to punch to live into his helmet, all of a sudden you're going to bust your hand open, break a finger, break a hand, dislocate something. So now it becomes more long-term. And I noticed he never took his helmet off. He's like, I'm going to make sure I keep mine on, and I'm going to keep on coming. So I understand where you're coming from, but you can't tell me that teammates and or coaches from either side didn't see that coming. I saw it coming from where I sit.
Then we have this. The Philadelphia Eagles are on a roll. They have the best record in the National Football League, and they played against the Bears, and they were having so much fun. You can see them here scoring touchdown after touchdown, rolling bowling celebrations, knocking everybody down. Carson Wentz is involved. Now they're doing the electric slide. We all know the electric slide. They needed 2 times to practice it, though, and they're playing tic-tac-toe on the sideline against each other just to get some competition. Jalen Rose, are the Philadelphia Eagles your Super Bowl favorites?
In the NFC, they are. And I've talked about that on this program. They're a complete football team. Carson Wentz isn't a statuesque quarterback. He's an actual football player. He can make all of the throws. He can do all of the scrambling that's necessary. He can get himself out of trouble. He doesn't always slide if he needs to get late yards. You have tall, fast receivers that can go up the field, plus across the middle. You have Zach Ertz, one of the best tight ends in the game. In Philadelphia the last couple of years, man, they keep some running backs. It's killing my fantasy team that they brought in Jay Ajay to go with LeGarrette Blount. But I'm telling you, they have so many backs that they're using that constantly become a change of pace and keep the defense off balance. And then you go to the defensive side of the football, they have a great player at each phase. Fletcher Cox on the D-line, Brandon Graham's at linebacker, Jenkins at cornerback. And they're really making it a special season right there in Philadelphia so far.
But I noticed you said something. When I asked if they were your Super Bowl favorites, you said in the NFC they are. Would you pick them over, say, I don't know, the New England Patriots in a Super Bowl matchup?
The way the Patriots defense has looked the last couple of weeks, you want to give Tom Brady the nod in these situations versus a second-year quarterback if a big game was to happen. But overall, from beginning to end, body of work, if you had to rank the teams since the start of the season, you would have to rank Philadelphia. But in a big game, if they were to play this Sunday, I would have to go with the Patriots.
Jalen, could you do the electric slide without any help or without any music?
Of course. Come on,
I don't think
man.
I could. I'm always that guy who's like looking at the person next to him, like a half step behind. Like everyone, you know me. And then I know the turn. The turn's basically the only part that I really got. I need the music. I can't do it without the music. You're the best. Well, Carson Wentz is on a hot streak, and so is Prince Harry. Big shout to Prince Harry. He got engaged to Meghan Markle over the weekend, and these two both being in the headlines got a lot of people wondering, are they the same person? Take a look at this, Jalen Rose. There is Carson Wentz, and there is Prince Harry. I legit don't know which one is which. Are Prince Harry and Carson Wentz the same person? Does Prince Harry quarterback for the Eagles every Sunday?
Possibly, and this happens in sports. I was flicking through the channel, saw Ben Simmons, Aaron Judge. I'm like, you know what? I understand that they haven't been in the same place at the same time as the young fella from Arizona that plays for Orlando. He's making his threes this year.
Aaron Gordon.
But with that being said, yeah, and Gordon, those three players look just alike.
Okay.
But with that being said, Prince Harry showing his versatility, getting married on Saturday, quarterbacking the Eagles on Sunday, and he getting married to a sister. He's shaking up the game.
He's shaking up the game. Just want to be clear, he got engaged. He didn't get married, but he will be married next spring to Meghan Markle. Big shout to that couple. I support them as I support all power couples. On the wrong side of that blowout victory by the Eagles were the Chicago Bears. The Bears have been so bad this season that they've inspired this one fan to bring this sign to the game. It is the Firefox logo. They are coached by John Fox. I always say you could be mean if you're funny. Jalen, is this mean, funny, or both?
It's actually funny and really mean when you're asking somebody to lose their job. I did chuckle and laugh, but overall, he's actually doing a good job with that team. They've developed a couple of running backs. Trubisky's a rookie. They don't really have those explosive weapons on the outside, and the defense is coming around. I say you keep him on the sideline at least another season.
Well, coming around for Jalen Jacoby, we've investigated, and we find out exactly who the cameraman is that injured J.T. Barrett this weekend in Michigan.
Jalen and Jacoby is brought to you by Grey Goose. Give the world's best tasting vodka. Sip responsibly.
Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, the Memphis Grizzlies started this season at 7-4. Then they lost 8 games. They're 7-12. Guess what happens when you lose 8 games? The coach gets fired. Woj dropped the bomb earlier on Monday. David Fizdale is out as the head coach of the Memphis Grizzlies. I am shocked by this. What is your reaction to this move by the Grizzlies?
I feel the exact same way that you do because he's one of the best, bright, young minds in the game. He did a terrific job with that squad last year that dealt with injury. They outplayed expectation, put himself in the Coach of the Year conversation. They came back this year compared to the opponent with another overall, other than Gasol and Mike Conley, players that were considered fringe starters. What was going to happen with Chandler Parsons and his return and his injury? Can he play up to contractual expectations? So at the beginning of the year, they were basically a surprise. They weren't a team that I gave a lot of expectations to because he was coaching that squad up. And so for him to decide to bench Marc Gasol late in the basketball game, Gasol to come out and talk about it publicly, it seems like the star player wins out versus the head coach. But overall, I think the franchise loses because in that dynamic, you want to try to keep both of those guys happy because they're both terrific at what they do.
I think that we are going to see a lot of follow-up reports on this. I can't imagine it's just as simple as, oh, you bench Marc Gasol, he complained, and now you're fired. I think there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't know about that we will find out about soon and wish Coach Fizdale the best in his next endeavor. Our next endeavor is some statue news. When we last saw a statue of Cristiano Ronaldo, it was this disgusting bust of him with his teeth out, smiling, looking like Sloth from the Goonies. And now we have this. Another bust of Ronaldo was built. Now we can see his handsome face and his steely demeanor. Jalen Rose, as our senior statue analyst, not just of ESPN, but of the world, why? What led to this huge improvement between the two statues?
The main improvement, the first time the person that did the picture probably had never seen him in life, clearly, because it didn't look like him. So while they were off the mark with the entire bust, one portion of it I'm going to focus on in particular. We all have strengths and weaknesses, and before I got veneers, I had this issue too. The first statue had a lot of gums and some baby teeth. And so that didn't look the best. So now when you remix it, you want to see his profile, you keep the grill closed so that now you can enjoy it and you don't see a lot of his smaller teeth, because if he was picking one of the things that he probably wanted to be on his bust, I'm sure that would not be a headline.
Jalen, I noticed that you were at the Michigan game over the weekend. I also noticed that you basically guaranteed a victory of the Wolverines. Didn't exactly play out that way. I hope you really enjoyed your time there. But there you are with your better half at the game, dressed in all your maize and blue. And there was a controversy, though. J.T. Barrett got injured before the game, and Urban Meyer was not happy about it. Let's listen to Urban.
Well, I'm just so upset with myself. There was a non-football injury. Too many damn people on the sideline. And a guy with a camera hit him in the knee. I'm going to find out who. And think about that.
Well, Jalen, we actually have found out who that mystery cameraman was that injured the Ohio State quarterback before the game. It was you, Jalen Rose. We have this picture of you with the camera trying to injure the quarterback. Jalen, why did you go so far as to try to injure the Ohio State Buckeye quarterback before the game at the Big House?
I respect Urban Meyer and J.T. Barrett. He's had a terrific career at Ohio State. Desperate times call for desperate measures. And over the last 15 years, they've had their way with our squad.
Well, Michigan football will be back eventually. We'll be back tomorrow.
Thank you. You're far too kind.
We got to give the people